right, freaks and folks, today we're going to talk about the lovely and beautiful Keemstar, one Daniel Keem.
Why am I still getting hate?
And more importantly, we're going to talk about the entire LOLcow live situation. Because, you know, I can't help but be a little bit of a commentary creator. But here's the situation, right? LOLcow Live was a show created by Keemstar with the thought of bringing together these creators that all have, I don't know, fucking made a fool of their entire life. You got Wings of Redemption, which is, you know, a raging video game player. You have Boogie2988, a pathological liar who will do anything other than making content to make money. And originally you were supposed to have Darkside Phil, but Darkside Phil said, let's not include Keemstar because we can do this all on our own. And I'm just going to say very quickly right here on the top, not to say that Darkside Phil was right, but what we are soon going to see is that Keemstar is going to be the reason that this show fails. In the same way that Keemstar is the reason that every single one of his shows fail. You look at the track record, he has a few successes, and the biggest success most likely being Drama Alert, because Drama Alert is what put him in connection with every other step that has allowed him to go on to do the Happy Punch promo and all that bullshit. But it all does not happen without the success of Drama Alert. LOLcow Live was started. They couldn't get Darkside Phil on, so they decided to add Tommy C through course deliberation and at the recommendation of Nicholas Diorio. At least that is what the narrative is presumed to be. So who knows what the actual story is, because Keemstar is a megalomaniacal, insane person who loves control but wants to do absolutely nothing. He wants to sit back and let things be successful on their own. In the way that Drama Alert is. Drama Alert is a channel that is successful in spite of Keemstar and his contributions, because it is farming on the interest of bigger creators. And it has always been farmed on the interest of other creators. That's always the way that it's been, and it's the reason that it was able to get successful as it was. In a time where Scarce and all of these other YouTubers were fighting to be the prime source of news, Keemstar was successful in all the right ways by being at the right place at the right time. Because if Scarce never gave up, then it is possible that Drama Alert would have stayed in its existence of irrelevancy, at least in my opinion, right? Scarce kind of fell off, right? Kind of pops up here and now and then to make another video, but doesn't really altogether stick around. Isn't as big of a figure despite trying from time to time. And it's kind of interesting to see him make an attempt, you know, from time to time, but hasn't posted in over a year. So maybe he hasn't tried at all recently. So I guess it doesn't matter. But ever since Keemstar has announced his quote unquote retirement from Drama Alert, which was a couple of years ago, he was trying to get other people to host the show. He was trying to get something to continue the brand, but I think ultimately because of his narcissistic ways, nothing ever really took hold. So now it's resorted to just making shorts content and allowing that to be the primary source of content creation throughout all of the channels that it creates content, right? From Snapchat to fucking Twitter and all this bullshit. The problem is that I think ever since that point, I think Keemstar has been trying to find the thing that gets him that next ring of success, right? Because in order to be proven a master content creator, you have to let the sparks got to hit twice, basically, right? You got to be able to put your money where your mouth is and say, I'm the best content creator. Look at this show, this show, this show. Because of me, they were all wildly successful, and I can do this in any venture, anytime, anywhere. Give me a camera, give me a microphone, and I am in a position of success. And he's been trying to prove that to the YouTube community, and he's been trying to prove that to people everywhere, but he just hasn't been able to find that additional slice of success. He started his Keemstar show with Salvo being his co-host, and then his shockingly young fiance as a co-host, and then him just solo hosting, and has netted about the same, if not worse, views. And it was at a time that this show had started that I was very fascinated and I was very intrigued, because I'd always known Keemstar as the awful cunt who did fucking Drama Alert and didn't really have much else other than that, right? That's the only thing that he could hang his hat on. And to see him try to do this like kind of grassroots show from the ground up, and interacted with a lot of smaller creators, it was fascinating. It was like, oh, fuck, man, maybe this is a new era. But then you saw that show kind of spiral and fucking burn, because he just probably wanted it to be a lot more successful than it was. And that's probably the reason why there hasn't been a stream or video on that channel for so long. And also don't forget that we have the continual resurgence of Baited in all of its different forms to come yet again to not the same amount of success that it once was. Because that was probably the closest that Daniel Keem ever got to the success that he got with Drama Alert was Baited. But even Baited has spiraled and fucking failed. Now, granted, every time that they post, it's wildly successful. I think that there is still such an audience for those creators, but I think it's more so the importance and the relevancy that Colossal has for a lot of us old hat YouTubers, right? The guys that have been around for like the last 10 years. I think we still look to Colossal as this source of relevance and this like just kind of like a years of yore, as it were. But Baited is literally the closest that Keemstar has gotten to a show being anywhere nearly as successful as Drama Alert is. And I think that acts as a thorn in his side. So beyond that, you now have this LOLcow Live, which again, I thought was a really incredibly fascinating idea. I thought it was a great idea to take these figures that have been the source of embarrassment in multiple YouTube communities and to kind of throw them in a room together and see what kind of magic happens. But yet again, right from the get-go, there was a lot of drama that came from it. They couldn't really figure out, there was like the whole fucking drama with they let somebody in who had no connection, who end up hijacking the original channel and all of the original social medias, which led them to needing to completely rebrand everything, which is like the most insane fucking thing to happen in the history of time. You can watch Tommy C and all of them. They talk more about that. I'm not here for your fucking comprehensive source. I'm just here to fucking ramble on about bullshit and whatever, just to get my thoughts out there. This is a creative outlet.
Leave me alone!
You have this show that goes through a little bit of growing pains. And I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I watched the first 8 or so episodes of this podcast just to kind of see where it was going. I've always passively supported Tommy C, and then it really got to a point where I would just kind of check in every now and then. But really, what you see is the beginning is its most relevant place, other than what's happening right now. But that's more so because of other figures. Again, capitalizing on the popularity of other figures is what is allowing it to be as successful as it is now. But the first couple of episodes easily crossed 100,000 views. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, easily, hands down. But then as time goes on, it really starts to dip. And I think more than anything, it's because they're going through an identity crisis. I don't think these people knew, because they didn't have anybody really guiding them, but they didn't know what to make the show. Is this a let's get together and chat, right, type of podcast? Is this the cold wet soup? Is this an interview podcast where we just bring on other LOLcows? Or is this one where we capitalize on our own faults and prove that we're just as bad as people present us to be? So that's where they kind of, each individual episode is kind of playing on these different things. Sometimes they're talking about trending topics. Sometimes they're talking about their own lives. And really kind of what it comes down to is I don't want to say it kind of fell flat, because I think it really fell into a pretty good groove, but it wasn't really growing, right? It was, hitting its views every now and then, but it really wasn't crossing 50K, right? Really ever, until Boogie fakes cancer. And that's the biggest thing, other than the whole show starting, that has followed this show. But here's the secret. It's not going to keep doing that. It's just going to settle back down to this area of stagnation. And then Keemstar is going to get pissed, and then he's going to leave, because it's going to get to a point where Keemstar can't really fire everybody, because then there isn't really a show anymore. So I think he's just going to abandon the project, and then this is just going to fucking spiral, and then it's going to end just like every other show that Keemstar has been associated with does. That's just going to be the trajectory, because he doesn't want to build something from the ground up. He's already done that. Daniel Keem has already done that with Drama Alert. So why should he have to do it again? Because that alone should be enough of a resume to launchpad any show. His presence should launch any show whatsoever. But here's the fucking secret. It won't. Because at the end of the day, nobody fucking cares about these people. Nobody cares about Keemstar. They really only care about the content that he's able to present about other people. His persistence on the platform is really his own stubbornness and his own desperate plea for attention. And I think more than anything, he just wants to set up another revenue streams. And if it isn't working, and if it isn't gaining enough capital, he's going to fucking kill it, or he's going to just let it die a slow and painful death. Because that's all that he wants. And that's the whole fucking purpose of this. Tommy C has said it on his entire stream, where he focuses on what the problem is, whatever the perceived problem is, because he wants to make a better product, but he wants those results instantly. So he overcorrects until everybody gets burnt out, and then it's gone. Right? There's been so much focus on the editor as being the main source of problem, when it's quite evident that that's not really the case. This is a fucking podcast. Editing is probably the least important thing. You just want to make sure that it sounds nice and that it looks nice. The only issue here, I think, is content, because yet again, these people have no fucking idea what they're doing. You have Boogie, who will do anything to continue making money by doing the least amount of work possible, to the point of launching his significant other's OnlyFans on her behalf, not allowing her to do that on her own. No. He's going to launch it. I'm so fucking disgusted. I don't really want to talk about Boogie in this video, because I've tried a couple of times, but then it just kind of kept getting worse. So then I backed away from the situation entirely. So I'm going to sum this up right now. This man is the most manipulative, disgusting person that has ever existed. And I know that he knows that, and I know that he tells himself that, but I cannot believe that he is emotionally manipulating this 21-year-old woman who's going to live after he dies and realize the kind of shit that she had to live through. This woman lost her virginity to Boogie 2988. This woman, this little itty bitty dainty 21-year-old, lost her virginity and has sex and is dick crazy over Stephen Boogie 2988 Williams. What kind of fucking insanity is that? I mean, seriously, what the fuck? We have Wings, who doesn't really want to do it, but will continue doing it because he can. And then you have Tommy, who's in it for the fucking ride, and that's totally fine. But there's no unified vision. There's no way for you to grow and pick up steam as a podcast, as a video content creation, as really anything, because there's no direction other than, oh, we're the LOLcow podcast. And it's like, well, but what does that mean to be the LOLcow podcast? What does that entail? And that's something that they have to figure out. It's not my fucking job. I don't really give a shit. I thought it was most interesting when they talked about trending topics and they brought on other LOLcows. I really don't fucking give a shit about this baiting for drama. The whole fucking Boogie faking cancer is disgusting and depraved. And I think the only thing that it's going to do, especially if it goes the way that Boogie wants it to, it's just gonna fucking burn out even faster if that's the way that they're gonna focus on making content. Because other than that, it just doesn't fucking matter. Literally, it's fucking whatever. It's so fucking whatever. I think Keemstar needs to pull himself from this show. I think they need to get some sort of third host, whether they bring Tommy back, but I think Keemstar needs to pull himself from the equation, and he needs to be on as a shadow member of the board. I know that nobody fucking owns shares or anything like that, because that's all fucking fake bullshit, but this show needs to be given the opportunity to sink or swim, and it really hasn't been given that, because it's pivoted so fucking much that nobody knows what to expect, right? When you click on the LOLcow.
So this is an addendum. As I was pontificating the creation of this show, I came to the realization that Keemstar is the Omega LOLcow, that he deserves a seat at the table when it comes to the LOLcow podcast. And I think he's right exactly where he deserves to be. And I think that we need some other manipulating party to come in and exploit all of these people for views, because everything that Keemstar does is egregiously LOLcow behavior. So that's the ethos of this video. Not to make it clickbait or anything, Keemstar is a LOLcow. I think a lot of the things that I've demonstrated through a lot of this bullshit kind of demonstrates that. He may be successful, but it's almost in spite of himself, as I've said over and over and over again, that he was always at the right place at the right time, and it's given him this false amount of confidence that he can do anything, that he can make any star that he wants to. And I just don't think that that's true, and I don't think he's ever been able to prove that that's true. It's hilarious. It's literally fucking hilarious.
Podcast, is it that we're going to be baiting fucking Boogie 298 for views, or are we going to be talking to Shoe Nice? Who fucking knows? They need to fucking figure out what the hell they're doing, and Keemstar needs to get his hands out of the pot, because with everything else that Keemstar has done, he doesn't know how to run a business. He fucking, drama alert was pure luck. He was only able to be successful with that because of time and place, almost in spite of his fucking ADHD autistic tendencies to run bullshit. And if he keeps going this direction, he will never have another successful show again, because he just can't let things build organically. We're in a new era of YouTube where views on commentary is significantly less than it was before. Views in general is significantly lower, to the point where most of the time it's pretty good if you're making over 1 million views. But most people, unless you're somebody like Mr. Beast, which fucking no one to talk about that controversy, but unless you're something like that, you're probably barely or struggling to cross 1 million views. That's just that's just the way that it goes. It's just really what I've noticed, on a lot of the channels that I watch, is there's just not a lot of as much traffic as there used to be, at least in the drama and commentary space. It's just not the fucking 10 million view Andy that it was anymore, and that's just the way that it fucking goes. It just doesn't really matter. So that's all I gotta fucking say. I probably jabbered on. I'm sorry for fucking. Well, I mean, if you got to this point, who gives a shit? Because literally anybody, if you make it to this point, you're a real one. We stick up for you, and we want you to be best friends. Okay. But otherwise, that's all I gotta say. Fucking Keemstar is a fucking psychopath. Keemstar is a fucking psychopath who has no idea what he's doing and has no idea how to run a business. Boogie is a manipulative fucking piece of shit. And that's all that there is. I can't wait to watch this show fucking burn in hell. If you want to follow my main channel, go ahead and do that. Who knows if I'll ever post on there again, but that's where you're going to find more more high quality content, I guess. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I guess you can. I don't give a shit. You guys ain't doing that, and I don't care if you don't do it, because I'm just happy you're here, baby. Smooches, adios.